You've probably asked AI something like this before. What should I focus on to grow my business? And you got an answer, a long one: marketing, customer retention, operations, team development, maybe product expansion. All of it laid out in organized sections. All of it technically correct. None of it actually useful. And that's the thing about open questions. They don't just invite open answers, they require them. And in this video, we're going to look at exactly why that happens and how one specific technique changes the pattern completely. When you send AI a prompt with no options and no defined range, every possible direction is equally valid. AI has nothing to constrain it toward one answer or away from another, so it generates across the full available space. That's AI doing exactly what an open question asks it to do. The problem is that an open question almost never reflects what you actually need. You don't need everything. You need one answer, and an open question can't surface that. Think about what Grow My Business actually asks. It's not a question with a single correct answer. It's a category that matches hundreds of valid patterns. Marketing strategies, hiring approaches, operational improvements, pricing decisions, revenue diversification, all of them fit. AI has no access to your specific constraints. It doesn't know your budget, your team size, your current bottleneck, or what you've already tried. So it returns the average, a response that could apply to any business in any situation. Broad question, broad answer, every time. That average might feel useful. It probably sounds reasonable, but it's not matched to your situation because you never told AI what your situation was. Multiple choice prompting changes this at the pattern level. When you provide a defined set of options, you're not just narrowing the output. You're changing what AI is doing before it generates a single word. Instead of drawing from the full range of possible responses, AI is now selecting from your list and reasoning within it. The option space you define becomes the pattern space it works inside. Everything outside those options stops being relevant. That's a meaningful shift. AI isn't constrained in a way that limits it. It's constrained in a way that focuses it. And those are two very different things. There's a common assumption that giving AI fewer options makes it less useful. But the opposite is true. When AI knows which patterns are relevant to you, it stops spending any output on the ones that aren't. The signal gets stronger, the noise disappears. The same capability is now pointed exactly where you need it instead of spread across everything it could theoretically address. Giving AI options doesn't reduce what it can do, it directs what it should do. And direction is what produces a useful answer. Here's where a lot of people stop short. They give AI a list of options but skip the situation, and that creates a different problem. Without your specific context, AI is still picking based on general probability, what tends to be the right answer for most people in most situations. It's selecting from your options, but it's making that selection without knowing anything about you. Add your situation, and the selection becomes meaningful. AI now knows your constraints, your resources, your starting point. The options define what's on the table. Your situation determines what belongs at the top of it, and you need both. The last piece is the instruction itself. Without pick one, AI tends to walk through every option with equal weight. Option A has these benefits. Option B is worth considering if. Option C depends on your goals. That's a comparison, it's not a recommendation. When you add the pick one instruction, you change what AI has to do. It must take a position before it starts reasoning. It commits, then defends. That produces a direct answer with traceable logic, something you can evaluate, push back on, or use. Here are the trade offs, and I recommend B because are fundamentally different outputs. The instruction is what determines which one you get. So let's take a look at both prompts side by side. First, the open question. No situation, no options. Watch what AI does when there's nothing to constrain it, and pay attention to how the output is structured. Then we'll see the same question reshaped with a specific situation, three defined options, and a pick one instruction. Watch how the output changes when the option space is closed. Here's the weak prompt. What should I focus on to grow my business? That's it. There's no context, no options, no constraint. And the output reflects exactly that. A list of areas to consider: marketing, customer retention, operational efficiency, team development, product expansion, every direction covered equally. No commitment to any of them. That output isn't wrong, but it doesn't help. The viewer still has to do all the work of deciding which category applies to their situation, which trade off matters most, and which direction to actually move. AI handed the decision back. Now, let's look at the technique applied to prompt. I own a 3-location sandwich shop. Lunch is strong, but mornings and evenings are slow. I have a small email list and do almost no marketing. Which should I focus on first? A. Launching a breakfast menu. B. Running an email promotion for evening specials. Or C. Pushing catering for local businesses. Pick one and explain why. Three things changed. A specific situation went in, three defined output options replaced the open questions, and a pick one instruction forced a commitment before reasoning began. The output? B. Email promotion for evening specials. You already have an audience and an existing product. A breakfast menu requires operational changes and staff retraining. Catering takes time to build. Email gets you revenue from what you already have faster. That's a different category of answer. It's not a framework. It's a recommendation with reasoning you can evaluate. You can agree with it, you can push back on it, or ask a follow up. The position is stated, the logic is visible, and the decision is made. The difference between those two outputs traces directly back to three things in the prompt: the situation, the options, and the instruction to commit. Look at what actually changed between the two prompts. The weak prompt was an open question with no situation and no options. AI generated across every valid pattern. The strong prompt supplied a specific situation, defined three options, and included a pick one instruction. AI selected within the defined range and committed to one answer. The options closed the pattern space. The situation made the selection meaningful. The instruction forced commitment. Remove any one of those three and the output weakens. Keep all three and you get a direct, reasoned recommendation every time. Here's the mental model for this one. Open questions invite open answers, and constrained questions produce committed ones. But there's something worth understanding about what this means for how you use it. What AI selects from matters as much as how it reasons. A well-constructed answer to the wrong options is still the wrong answer. Your judgment is still essential in three places. You define the options. If the right answer isn't in the list, AI will pick from what it was given, and it will do so convincingly. You verify the reasoning. A confident, well-reasoned recommendation can still rest on a gap in the situation you described. And you assess whether the situation was complete. AI matched the patterns you gave it. If your context was missing something load-bearing, the output reflects that gap. The technique handles the structure. You handle the inputs. The next time you send AI an important question, try this before you hit send. Turn the open question into a multiple choice prompt. Name your situation, define two or three specific options, and tell AI to pick one and explain why. It takes maybe 2 minutes. The output goes from a framework you have to interpret to a recommendation you can actually use. If you want a template for this, it's over at eauclairai.com, ready to copy and adapt for your own prompts. If you want to go deeper, reach out to us at Eau Claire AI. We help businesses build prompting systems that produce consistent, useful output across their actual work. Subscribe if you want more of this. We've got new techniques every week with the same approach. Explain the mechanism, show the comparison, and give you something you can use the same day. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.